Hello guys, so in today's video I want to do something a little bit different, and today I want to talk about one uncommon mistake, I would say, that's maybe stopping you from saving more money. And in this video it's going to be a bit more candid. Honestly, I'm just going to be looking at some notes that I've made, and I've also got a tea, and I just want to chat. And if you do like this format, let me know in the comments. So one of the things that I feel like we are making, especially within our generation, that we need to really think about is comparing ourselves to others. That's the one mistake I think that's stopping us from saving more. So I kind of want to talk about, what do I mean? Why is it stopping you? And what to do instead. So when I'm talking about comparing ourselves to others, I think especially when it comes to social media, we tend to see, a different lifestyle online. If you look at Instagram, you might be seeing people going on holidays, they're buying their homes, they're having all these cars. It could have an impact on you. It definitely had an impact on me, I would say, a few years ago. And so when I'm talking about, comparing ourselves to others, there's always this element of keeping up with the Joneses. What I mean by this is, feeling like you have to have these materialistic things. Like you really have to have the nice car so that you can show people I have arrived. Maybe you want to get a bigger house that potentially you can't afford. Maybe you're trying to buy all of these clothes, but you don't really have money for it. So you're having to use things like credit card debt and all of these other schemes. And why that's stopping us from saving more is because we are therefore chasing for all of these things, and we're maybe not thinking about, in reality, what is that going to cost us in the future? We're not really thinking about, our tomorrow. I think for a lot of us, we're just thinking about our today. And let me be the first to say that you don't know how long you're going to live for. So of course you do want to live for today, but I don't think that that should be at a detriment to our future. I think there is a balance of both, but it just feels like sometimes people are in the one camp where they just live for today and then that's it, or you're in the other camp where you're trying to scrimp and save as much as possible and you're not necessarily able to enjoy the fruits of your labor today. So I definitely think having a balance is going to be important, but this comparison that we have, keeping up with the Joneses, I think it can have a real negative impact on the way we think about money and how we deal with our finances. And remember, if you're liking this video so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up because it does support the channel, and I'm sure you already know it's free. And just thinking from even a generational perspective, so for example, I am a millennial and I think most of my audience are millennials as well. We may not necessarily spend that much money on materialistic things. So for us, we may not necessarily care about those materialistic things. However, when it comes to things like experiences, that is a totally different story. And especially if you do go on social media, if you're on Instagram, you will see people having these extravagant trips. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to travel or enjoy your experiences, but I think what I'm just a little bit concerned about is if you're spending money that you don't necessarily have on these extravagant trips, is that going to cost you later on? A lot of people will probably be using debt to finance their lifestyle and you would never know. So although it looks amazing on Instagram, you don't know how people paid for that trip. You don't know whether they actually had assets paying for that trip or if they actually used liabilities like credit card debt to have those experiences. And also on the flip side, if you are someone who maybe sees your friends or just other people on social media going on these extravagant trips or going to these nice restaurants all the time and you're almost feeling bad for it, that could then have an impact on your own spending because you may then feel that you have to spend this amount of money too, when in reality we don't know where that money has come from. Let's be real, for many people on social media, they don't have that money to be spending. So I think we just need to be really careful, especially if you have certain financial goals that you are working towards. For example, if you know that you don't want to depend on the government when it comes to your retirement, if you know that you want to really buy your first home, you have to really take that into consideration first. I think what's maybe stopping us is sometimes we see people that look like they've made it without realizing where that money has come from, and then thinking that if we then just spend money that we don't have, everything will still be okay, when in reality you don't know that. Now of course, I'm not saying to not spend your money. I'm actually a really big advocate on being able to spend your money, but spend it much more intentionally. I'm just saying that you want to think about the bigger picture and not just think about the things that you see on social media. What I'm saying is think about your own personal goals and what you want to work towards. So now I just want to talk about things that you could maybe do instead, and some of the things that I did as well to stop comparing myself to others so that I had the ability to save more money. And one of the biggest things I did was limit the amount of use on social media. So I did a much more drastic approach, I would say. I personally chose to deactivate myself off Instagram. I deactivated myself off Facebook. I wasn't really using Facebook much at the time anyway, but I chose to do that because I really wanted to focus on not only myself, but I also wanted to improve my relationship with God spiritually, and there were just other things that I wanted to focus on, and I felt like social media was a bit of a distraction. So I decided to get off Instagram. I didn't see what people were doing. I didn't see people going out on their nice holidays. I didn't see any of that. So that was one thing I did. But also another thing I did was actually change the content around me. So for example, in my case, I would be reading a lot more books. I was also still watching YouTube videos, but the content in terms of the YouTube videos I was watching was very different. So rather than watching anything and everything, what I would be watching is content on money, content on building relationships, content on learning about the Bible. I decided to focus on that when it came to watching things like YouTube videos so that I could surround myself with that knowledge, and it meant that I was less likely to compare myself in a negative way. And that was probably one of the best things I did, because it then shifted my mindset completely to the point that when I did go back on Instagram, I would hardly look at any other person. In fact, I got to the point where I honestly didn't care if you were going to 10 holidays in a month. I really didn't care, because I then had that focus and I was able to bring that onto my other social media platforms as well. The other tip I would give, which is kind of linked to this but also will allow you to save more money, is to focus on buying assets instead of liabilities. So what I mean by this is, if you see that, you know, many of your friends are able to go out to eat a lot, they're able to, you know, take these extravagant trips, what I would say is, how about you focus on building those assets? So assets are things that put money in your pocket, and once you build that, you can then use those assets to pay for that type of lifestyle, if that's the type of lifestyle you want to live. I think some of us forget that, you know, when we're talking about taking control of our finances, that does not mean that you need to be cutting back everything and you're going to just live a life where you literally don't spend money at all. No, if you really want to take control of your finances, your main focus will be to build assets so that those assets can pay for your lifestyle. If you really want to build wealth, that is going to be your focus. So even though you may not be spending as much as you would like today, it doesn't mean you're not going to be able to do it tomorrow. And that kind of brings me on to my next point. When I'm talking about, you know, having a balance of living for today and also focusing on your tomorrow, one thing I would say is just to plan the things. So yes, think about building those assets now, but it doesn't mean that you can't spend some of that money today. All I'm saying is think about planning for it. So for example, if I know that I really want to take a trip, I'm just going to plan for it so I know that I'm still going to be able to, again, have money set aside to build my assets and build my investments, but also I'm still going to be able to go on that trip as well. And that means that at the end of the day, yes, you're going to be able to have a good life in the future, but you're also going to be able to enjoy your life now. But you're able to do this without actually comparing yourself to others and seeing what they have now. You're then going to be focusing on what you want to achieve in the future, whilst also being able to enjoy what you currently have now. So I really hope that helps. If you do need further support when it comes to just saving money and changing your mindset around that so you can finally start working towards your financial goals, I do offer one-on-one coaching so I can really help you walk through that. So if you do want to find out more, all you need to do is book a free call with me. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But I really hope this kind of gave you a different perspective when it comes to saving money. And if you do find that you're comparing yourself to others a lot, it might be something that's actually stopping you from achieving those financial goals and being able to save more. So it's definitely something that I would start to think about if you haven't already. So if you did like this video, then please do remember to give me a thumbs up. And as I mentioned, this is pretty much a candid chat. If you would like more content like this in the future, where I'm literally just sitting down with my tea, just talking about my thoughts and my opinions, definitely let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I do post every Tuesday. So if you would like to know more, then please do subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.